Hi there, what's up, you guys? I want to thank you all for tuning in to RPG Red Pill Galaxy. So, today I want to talk about something quite important, and it's the topic about bullying. What exactly do you do when you are confronted by a bully? And a lot of you might think that I'm talking about kids in school or people at university, but actually it goes a whole lot deeper than that. We've got all kinds of bullying, and of course, the most famous kind of bullying would be the kind of bullies that would confront you at school, that would confront you at university. But bullying actually extends well into people's adult life, and this would include the office and also in interpersonal relationships, especially women. A lot of people think that bullying is only from one man to another or from one school kid to another, mostly male. But the truth is that, in today's feministic society, there's also a lot of women that are now gaining the upper hand, and unfortunately a lot of men that are actually condoning and allowing this kind of behavior. So I want to take you all through an instance in my life where I was in fact a victim of bullying, and how I actually was able to overcome it, and how I was able to help other people overcome their instances of bullying. So it goes way back to the age of about 7 or 8, and I was in primary school. And what had happened was that there was always this group of kids that were hanging around me, and because I wasn't as rough as they were, I was a little bit more refined. I won't say I was a lot more refined. I would say I was slightly more refined in my speech. I was slightly more eloquent, and I didn't engage in the rough kind of behavior that most of them would. And from time to time, they would push me around, they would say things behind my back. It wasn't too bad. It never got to the point of physically beating me up or anything like that. But my mom was actually the catalyst in me deciding to go and learn karate. And fortunately, this school that taught karate was literally next to my house, because at the time, my father, he was the caretaker of the local community center, amongst one of his many job descriptions. And I went there not expecting much, and of course I learned a lot more than what I expected. I learned things like discipline, self-control, footwork, how to block and punch and counter-attack, etc. And sure, as time progressed, I was able to improve my confidence, and not only confidence, but my ability to fight and defend myself as well. Fast forward 5 years into the future, the year is 1992, and I went to a new high school. No one knew me, nobody knew anything about my background, and of course there was one kid that thought that he was better than everyone else, expected me to give up my seat for him. I said no, and he said that he would find me during school break. I said fine, whatever. School break comes, and we're in a 20-minute intermission. I went to the school tuck shop, which is what we called it. We called it the tuck shop, just a little kiosk where you could buy sweets and chips and lunch, etc. This guy taps me on my shoulder and calls me one side. I said, listen, dude, I don't want to fight you. And he says, no, you're going to fight me. And just as he tried punching me, I stepped back, I countered, gave him a left-right hook, followed by a spinning backhand kick to the head. He fell to the ground, gave him a couple of more punches. That was the end of that. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? You see, you gotta realize that in life there's gonna be people that wants to take you down, and it doesn't matter what the reason is. It could be jealousy, it could be people trying to show you that they are tougher, that they are better than you. And the truth is that the only thing you can and should do is stand up to them. Now, the irony behind this being a victim is that it's actually your greatest strength. Let me explain. What's the last thing that a bully would expect from a victim? Firstly, you got to understand, bullies, they typically go after people that they think cannot defend themselves. You will never find a bully going up against somebody bigger, stronger, and faster than them. And that's the anatomy of a bully. That is why they are called bullies. They are not able to stand up to people the same size and strength or higher. So what do? They go at people lower, smaller, and weaker than them. Now, this element of surprise, for the most part, is going to work once and once only, and that is why I call it the trump card. Any trump card, or by definition, a trump card is something that is so big, it's so massive, that you can only use it once. And I'll give you one example of the trump card. You can call in once to work to say that your mom or dad passed away, and for that reason, you cannot come to work for this week. And most companies, if they're humane, they will give you that. They will understand it is a time of suffering, it's a time of mourning, and they call it in, at least in my country, in South Africa. I'm living in Russia right now, but in South Africa, they call this compassionate leave. Now, you can use that line once. You can say that your mom or your dad passed away once, and they will give you that 1 week off. However, if you try to use that same line next month or next year, that your mother or father passed away again, I mean, they're not going to believe you. Either that or reincarnation work or something. So what I'm saying is that, coming back to bullying, your trump card is that this bully does not expect you to stand up. And this is your greatest strength. So if you are able to give him one shot in his nose, or give him an elbow, because the elbow is much harder than your knuckles, it's going to be something that's going to work to your advantage, because A, he does not expect it, and B, it's going to catch him off guard, which means that you will have not only the element of surprise, but at the same time, you're going to have what is called in military terms as first strike advantage. Okay. Now, of course, if you don't know how to fight, it's not going to work very well. But just the fact that you have the courage to stand up to this bully is going to put you into a much greater light than to not do anything at all. Because how bullying affects your self-confidence is that every single time this guy confronts you and you do nothing, your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth takes a nosedive lower and lower. And this is effectively why a lot of kids nowadays are committing suicide. You'll notice that there's a lot of research out there proving that young kids as young as 10, 11, 12 are committing suicide because of the effects of bullying. When in fact, the worst things you can do is go to your school principal, your teachers, because these people, these figures in authority have been so effeminated, they're so emasculated that they no longer helping you. They simply have this no bullying or no violence attitude, that in doing so they're actually condoning the bullying. What you should do, take the motherfucker down, even if you don't win. That motherfucker is never going to touch you again. He's never ever going to want to fight you because you had the balls to stand up for yourself. Okay, and of course you should always be focusing on improving yourself, because when you're improving yourself, you're becoming leaner, you're becoming harder, you're becoming stronger, you're becoming faster. And this is why a lot of nations, especially the most powerful nations, if you take the two top nations in the world in terms of military strength, the United States at number 1, and then the Russian Federation, where I'm staying, at number 2, you'll find that pretty much no nation dares to invade the United States or the Russian Federation. If you look at where I'm staying right now, the Russian Federation, Adolf Hitler tried it, Napoleon tried it, and they both failed. So where am I going with this? For any nation to be strong, they need a good military, a very powerful deterrent. And that is why the Russian Federation has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, the largest amount of nuclear warheads. And this is why NATO or the US does not want to invade Russia, because they are aware of the nuclear capabilities of this nation. And similarly, we in Russia, we understand the nuclear deterrence of the United States, and that is why we're not going to invade them. So there's this thinking called MAD, which is mutually assured destruction, that if any one of these two nations had to invade the other, it's a no-win situation for either of them. Now, the same thing with you and your life. If nations have these powerful military capabilities to defend themselves, should you not too, in your private life, have this capacity to defend yourself, and not just physically, but also emotionally. So I've mentioned earlier we'll be speaking about bullying in the workplace, and this takes shape in many different forms. So you might have, for example, a line manager. On many cases it's somebody from another department, and typically it could be a woman. I remember way back, more than 10 years back, I was working as a temporary administrative assistant at a company called Virgin Active. It's a national chain of gyms, but I was working at the national head office, just temping. I was just a temporary assistant, and I reported to one specific director. But every now and again, I would have the PA or the personal assistant of the CEO dumping her work on my desk. Now, I wasn't reporting to her, but because she was such a strong feminist, and because I didn't know how to defend myself in the workplace, I took it. And unfortunately, what I should have done was I should have gone to my divisional manager and tell her, look, this person is stepping out of line. I need to know, who am I reporting to? Who am I allowed to take orders from? I should not be taking this kind of abuse. That is what I should have done. Or I should have confronted her and tell her, listen, I know exactly who I'm reporting to. Please do not give this to me. Stay in your zone. And typically when you confront people like that, one of two things can happen. They will respect you, or they want to take it further, but you need to know exactly what are the designated areas in which you're allowed to operate and which lines are not to be crossed. Okay, and then also you need to log everything. So you need to log everything that has happened. You need witnesses to ideally be on your side, and typically you'll find that in the workplace, it really depends. It comes down to who you know. It could be that this person bullying you has good relations with those in human resources or with one of the line managers. So you just got to be red pill aware in the workplace as well, because the blue pill mindset is that everyone is free and fair, everybody has equal rights. But the truth is that most people do not have equal rights, even though that's what it says on paper. The law says that you can report to someone higher than you. You can take it to the labor court. But in truth, in practice, many times these bullies, they've got friends in high places. So if you know that this is how they operate, try to get a stealth cam. You get a lot of these mobile camera phones that allows you to record in stealth mode without you actually physically pointing the camera with a display, displaying what you're recording. So you could employ one of these things if you know that there's going to be a certain instance of where this person is going to speak down to you, or where this person is going to try and take advantage of you. It's very crucial that you have this kind of evidence, or ideally build strong relationships with other people that can support you, those people that have got your back. Because with these kinds of support pillars, you can take down bullies, as quickly as you can. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to subscribe, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Go to my Patreon page, support me. It's going to help me develop more videos like this. And remember, we men, we have to stand up for ourselves. If you have a friend, if you have a son, or if you've got somebody in your life that you feel can benefit, share this video with them. Drop me a line. It's redpillgalaxy@gmail.com. Have a nice day. I'm out. Cheers.